Hey there, fellow adult collectors. Welcome back. David Eon here, and I've got a treat for you today. This is the Mattel Grizzly Adams action figure set. And literally, this is it. They only produced 2 figures to my knowledge. Now, you might or might not remember Grizzly Adams. If you grew up in the 70s or the 80s, you probably remember Grizzly Adams, the TV show. And that was, of course, Dan Haggerty, and that's not a bad likeness of him, actually. The sculpt is really good on this, and the artwork is outstanding. I love artwork on vintage toys and action figures. They just don't do it like that anymore. The artwork on the box really helps to sell it, and I think it's something that modern toy companies is missing out on by not putting decent artwork on their action figure packages. Something that can be said for Super 7 with their reaction figures, because the figures themselves, they don't look that great, but the card art is fantastic on those, and that's something that really stands out for me. But getting back to the point, in 1978 Mattel produced these. Now, Grizzly Adams was a TV show that ran from 1977 to 1978. No matter how many times you saw these in reruns, it actually only was on the air for 2 seasons, 1977 and 1978. And the show was actually based on a movie from 1974 called The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams, which also starred Dan Haggerty. So he went from the film right to the TV show in the same role. And that film from 1974 was actually based on a novel written in 1972, The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams. I'll close up on that there if you wanted to read it. And the novel was based on an actual person named Grizzly Adams, who lived in the early 1800s in California. He was a California mountain man. James Grizzly Adams. If you ever wondered what Grizzly Adams' real name was, it's James Adams. There's the Nakoma description there. Nakoma, who was the co-star on the show, him and the bear, and who was it? Mad Jack. Mad Jack was the old prospector guy, the mountain man with the really stubborn donkey. And of course the bear, Ben. People remember Adams and the bear the best, really. These are both sealed. These are factory sealed, and they're glued shut at the factory. The only way to open that is to break it. And there's a little bit of creasing right there on the flap, but the flaps are still really solid. That's very minor. So this isn't really bent per se. It's still, as you can see, still very solid. It's just a little bit of a wrinkle, which is kind of unavoidable, but you often see these old style flap boxes from Mattel, and especially Kenner, just folded over, which breaks my heart to see those folded because people will continue to fold them instead of turning them back proper. Really enjoying the artwork on these. I love it. In 82, I want to say, in 1982, they had a reunion show, kind of like giving closure to the series to show what happened to Grizzly Adams, where'd he go, what happened to Grizzly Adams. And he gets, of course, captured because he was hiding out in the mountains. He was a mountain man, but he was hiding out in the mountains because he was actually a fugitive, wanted for a murder he didn't commit. And they brought closure to the show in 1982 in a 2-hour made-for-TV special. Now, interestingly enough, these are Big Jim bodies. They're both 9.5 inches tall, and I'll get the ruler out here just to give you an idea. It's hard to tell through the box, but they're 9.5 inch tall, basically part of the Big Jim family. Mattel is really well known for reusing molds back in the day. They did it with Barbie and Ken. They did it with the Sunshine family. I could go on for an hour about how many times or what series they used the Sunshine family dolls for when making action figures throughout the 70s. But they did it a lot with Big Jim also. Big Jim from what, 1975? Well, that 1975 Big Jim series also was used in the Carl May series, which was a movie, Carl May, Western series based on a film, and they were produced in 1976 and 1977, the Carl May series, in a box just like this, with a green border, with Big Jim bodies, and actually even the Nakoma. And I want to say that it was, oh, what was his name? Winnetou had the same body mold as Nakoma here. And then again in the same year, actually, I think it was also 1978, they had the How the West Was Won series with a character called Lone Wolf, and that was based on a TV show. Same green border box, same Big Jim bodies, and same exact mold as Nakoma again. So Mattel liked to recast molds quite a bit. Let me see if I can get in here good. There's a little bit of reflection. And he's got a headband holding his hair down because it's real rooted hair on the Nakoma figure. And again, these are sealed, so I cannot open these to demonstrate them more closely. Notice the armbands. They like chromed armbands. When you find these loose, you often find those rubbed off. Nakoma was Don Shanks. The actor was Don Shanks. His hand? Oh, his hand is... I thought his hand might be backwards there for a second. Looked at it funny. Who was a real native Indian. And also the actor who played Michael Myers in Halloween 5, if you can believe that. Take a close look at the Dan Haggerty, which again, that's not a bad sculpt, considering. They never made Mad Jack, the old prospector. They never made him. And they never made the bear either. To the best of my knowledge, they never made another figure for the Grizzly Adams series, even though it says so on the back of these boxes. Let me see here. Right down here, it says, see Grizzly Adams action figure and Grizzly Adams and Ben set. To the best of my knowledge, again, that set was never produced. I did see artwork. I have seen official, I guess, artwork for the Grizzly Adams and Ben 2-pack exclusive, but it was never done, and it doesn't seem fair to make Grizzly and not make the bear. Bear was really the star of the show. You see also here that they have action, like he's got a lever on his back, a button on his back, where you can press it and he can chop with the axe that he comes with. So you could also pretend that he's George Lutz from Amityville Horror House, which came out around the same time as Grizzly Adams. Kind of looks like him a little bit. Speaking of horror, he also has a stabbing action, so you could pretend that your Nakoma is actually Michael Myers. Just messing with you folks. Anyway, do you remember these figures? Do you remember the show? You probably remember the show more so than the figures, because the figures are not that easy to come by in really good condition, in the boxes especially, still sealed like this. You might remember the show. Look at this, Once Upon a Time. I don't know how well you can see that. That was $5. $5. Did you used to watch the show? I remember the show fondly as a child. Somebody actually tried to peel that price tag off. I wish it was still there, fully intact, so I could see what it originally sold for. I don't mind when these types of vintage figures have the original price tags, as long as the price tags aren't too big. A lot of times with old figures, they put a clearance sticker on it and it's gigantic. It's like 4 inches tall and bright red or orange, and you just can't get it off safely. But when it's a small price tag, I don't mind that at all. Part of the nostalgia, gives it a little history, gives it a little bit of history. What do you think of these? You know, while everybody is scrambling for one of the big five, like Star Wars or G.I. Joe or Ninja Turtles and Transformers and things like that, this set is easy to complete. All you have to do is find 2 mint-in-the-box Grizzly Adams figures and you're done. That's it. Granted, it's not that easy. These are not inexpensive. But 2 pieces and you're done. I think that's pretty cool. I like with a lot of the vintage sets that it doesn't take much to finish them. Once you find all the pieces, you can just walk away from it. I like that with a lot of the vintage toy series that are out there. There's only a few of them. Even though sometimes they can be a little expensive, there's only a few pieces. So you know exactly what you're looking for. Do you remember the show? Did you used to watch it when it was on the air or even in syndication? Did you have these? Or do you have these figures? Are you a Big Jim fan? Because it is really kind of the Big Jim family. It does fit. Tell me about it. Share it with me. Share it with the other subscribers to the channel. Do subscribe if you're new to the channel. I do a lot of showcases and unboxings of modern toys, showcases of vintage toys from the museum. We do tours, we do weekly roundups, video game walkthroughs, retro video game walkthroughs. Lots of different things going on this channel, something for everybody. So do check us out. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. We hope that you did. Share it if you can, subscribe if you're new. All of that good stuff. Find us on Instagram, Open by Chance on Instagram. Really can't get over this artwork. I love the detail that used to go into these older figures. And consider joining our Patreon family, the proceeds from which are used to fund regular giveaways on this channel and in the form of Patreon exclusives. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of seeing these figures. Maybe this is something you've never seen before, and that's always cool. So what more can I say but thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.